Twilight held an unshakable belief no opponent, not even Veldanava, was unbeatable. This conviction formed the foundation of his existence, making the idea of losing to Testarossa utterly inconceivable. With confidence, he revealed his ultimate skill, Angra Mainyu, King of Vice, a power created to slay a god. Unlike angelic abilities that impose dominion, Angra Mainyu erased everything, reducing its victims to nothingness. Its ultimate ability, Eternal Regression, condemned its target to endless destruction and rebirth, erasing their soul over time. As Twilight activated Eternal Twilight, malice surged toward Testarossa, consuming everything in its path. It traps all within its range in a pseudo-hell, forcing them into endless nightmares until the world's end. Escape is impossible, even for the original demon, who must endlessly endure destruction and rebirth. This was the ultimate death sentence, inescapable, unavoidable. And yet, nothing happened. Testarossa remained completely unscathed. Twilight's confidence shattered. He had no logical explanation for why his absolute attack had failed. His thoughts accelerated at incomprehensible speed, desperately searching for answers. Testarossa, however, merely smirked, enjoying his confusion. Then, she revealed her true plan, a perfect counter to his power. White Pure End, Nihilistic End. The battlefield vanished into absolute white darkness, erasing everything in its path. Even Velzard's ice paled in comparison. Those watching from afar were stunned, their voices filled with disbelief. Meanwhile, Twilight panicked. His mind raced at millions of times normal speed, trying to analyze what had happened. His body was dissolving, faster than he could regenerate. He realized too late, Testarossa had left the void she had used to probe his existence intact, allowing it to grow unnoticed. For the first time, Twilight felt genuine fear. Testarossa had outplayed him completely, and the true battle was only beginning. Twilight couldn't help but admire Testarossa's mastery. Voids were the ultimate force of destruction, pure annihilation in its rawest form. Yet, she had seamlessly blended it into ice and snow, maintaining it in a seemingly dormant state until the perfect moment. From a logical standpoint, this approach was inefficient. She should have unleashed it immediately as an attack. And yet, by concealing it, she had executed a strategy Twilight had never considered. Even so, he felt no real danger. His Guryutai form could regenerate indefinitely. No matter how destructive the void was, it didn't matter if he could revive completely. His confidence remained unshaken, until a single miscalculation shattered it. Testarossa exuded an air of complete dominance, exasperated by Twilight's lack of understanding. The void she wielded did not originate from hell, it was something far greater. As she unleashed her full power, the battlefield was consumed by a white abyss, an even deeper and more absolute force than Velzard's ice. Twilight struggled to comprehend. His core, silent, unresponsive. His pride, his certainty, his absolute confidence collapsed in an instant. He had relied entirely on his ability to regenerate, believing himself untouchable. Now that assumption had failed him. The void did not simply destroy, it devoured information itself, erasing the fundamental essence of existence. Even the most absolute commands became meaningless if the foundational particles that conveyed them ceased to exist. His thoughts accelerated beyond all limits, desperately searching for an answer, but there was none. As the white abyss consumed him, his consciousness was left in complete isolation. He had achieved perfect knowledge. He had discovered the ultimate truth. Yet, in the face of something beyond comprehension, his heart remained unfulfilled. And so, as everything faded into nothingness, his final question remained unanswered. Those within the barrier could not perceive what had happened, but an undeniable certainty settled among them. Testarossa had won. The oppressive presence of the white abyss outside was beyond anything they had ever felt. Moss, however, sensed something even more terrifying. Before the battlefield had been consumed, he had seen it, Testarossa had been injured. Though she had fully recovered, the fact remained, Twilight's attacks had reached her. For someone like Testarossa, who never engaged in unnecessary close combat, this was unprecedented. Had Twilight truly forced her into a direct fight? If Twilight had been a dragon species like Velgrund, it would have made sense. That level of power was something that could be begrudgingly acknowledged. But he was not. He was a sacred ancestor, feared among the ancient gods but still not a being who should have forced Testarossa into direct combat. Moss knew that Testarossa was exceptional at defense, always controlling the battlefield on her own terms. For her to allow herself to take damage meant something had forced her into unfavorable conditions. Despite the certainty of her victory, a lingering unease remained. Something about this battle had been different, and now the aftermath was yet to unfold. Moss, ever composed, stifled a sigh at Sauka's inquiry. He had deemed her irrelevant to the situation, preferring her silence. Yet, her question unexpectedly caught his attention. She hesitantly recalled Testarossa's ability, speculating on its status. Moss, momentarily shaken, realized it had been deployed to locate Twilight. If fully unleashed, the void would have erased everything indiscriminately, yet they still stood, meaning it hadn't reached its peak. Even for Testarossa, sustaining the void indefinitely was unrealistic. Moss hoped she had deactivated it, but the possibility of her conserving strength lingered. He dismissed the thought. Fighting while maintaining the void was reckless. If she lost control, the results would be catastrophic. The sheer energy required made the idea of its continued presence unthinkable. If the void remained active, even the smallest chance of world destruction was terrifying. The realization sent a shiver down his spine, his legs nearly giving out. Meanwhile, the others reacted in varying degrees of relief and unease. Some dismissed deeper concerns, choosing not to burden themselves with grim possibilities. Their priority was survival, not the mechanics of destruction beyond their control. Twilight's existence was being erased before their eyes. The tension lifted as relief set in, some finding satisfaction in his downfall. The immediate threat was gone, though its implications lingered. Yet, the battle was far from over. Their true target, Velzard, remained, and the white-sealed world still held its grip on the land. As if to drive the point home, the clash between Guy and Velzard escalated, their battle surging to even greater heights.